All right, I want to thank you all for coming today. We're here to discuss an incredibly important topic. Before I get into that, my name is Jake Hoffman. I'm a state senator representing Legislative District 15. I'm the founding chairman of the Arizona Freedom Caucus as well. Joined here today, we have Representatives Pingerelli, we have Representatives Hendricks, Kolodin, Heap. We have a number of other representatives who are either stuck in traffic or had commitments shift on them and couldn't attend, but they're here with us in spirit. We're also joined today by some very important individuals, people who have dealt with the scourge of crime from dangerous illegal aliens themselves, their families. We have Mary Ann Mendoza, who is an angel mom, tragically lost a child. We have Steve Ronnebeck here, who also tragically lost a child to criminal illegal aliens. Now, you know, over the last 4 years under the Biden administration and when Democrats were in control, our southern border was weaponized to allow upwards of 20 million illegal aliens, to allow them to invade our country, to allow them to break the laws and come here. And many of those people were dangerous criminal illegal aliens, people engaged in human trafficking, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, people who came to this country and committed murders, who committed rapes, who committed sexual offenses, pedophiles. Now, what's incredibly damaging in this country and in this state right now is that we have Democrats like Katie Hobbs, Adrian Fontes, and Chris Mays who are openly protecting those individuals, who are openly enabling, essentially empowering people to rebuke federal law enforcement activities to deport these criminal illegal aliens, people who are committing crimes. Now, let's talk just quickly about some of those people who have been the victims of dangerous criminal illegal aliens. Obviously, Grant Ronnebeck, you're going to hear from his dad. He lost his life at 21 years old. Laken Riley lost her life to a dangerous criminal illegal alien at 22 years old. Aiden Clark at 11 years old. Michael Kunovich. Elizabeth Medina at 16. Erfaro Gilbert, he was burned to death. Kayla Hamilton, Maria Rios, Ian Mateo Garcia, Diane Hill Luckett, Marcia Gonzalez, she was only 11 years old. Julissa Molina Rivera, Sonia Argentina Guzman, Diana Velasquez Alvarado, Jose Jonathan Cesares, Daniel Enrique Lasso. That was a family of 5 that were murdered by a dangerous illegal alien. Every year, 2,000 law-abiding citizens in this country are killed by illegal aliens. We have to stand with President Trump. We have to stand with ICE and the lawful federal law enforcement activity that is occurring to deport these dangerous illegal aliens. You know, in 2021, we'll just take 1 year as an example, illegals committed almost 1,200 assaults and domestic violence related crimes. We've seen, because of the violent rhetoric of Democrats all over the country, from Hakeem Jeffries to Katie Hobbs and Adrian Fontes and Chris Mays, we've seen a 1,300% increase in the threats against federal law enforcement engaged in deportation efforts. Despite the fact that Democrats too, President Obama, President Biden, they both deported illegal aliens, yet you didn't hear any of this. It's only happening now. Why? Because it's to sow division and chaos and to force this country to the brink of civil war. Now I want to bring up, we're going to start with Mary Ann Mendoza, and then we're going to have Mr. Ronnebeck come up. But I want to have them come up and talk for a few minutes about what they've experienced, to talk for a few minutes about what they know to be true on this topic, and then we'll go ahead and take a few questions. So Mary Ann, come on up.
Good morning. I'm Mary Ann Mendoza, the mother of Sergeant Brandon Mendoza of the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, who was killed on May 12, 2014, by a repeat illegal criminal who had driven over 35 miles the wrong way on the Phoenix freeways, drunk, high on meth, and slammed head-on into my son going 104 miles an hour. The media and elected officials have one narrative. Two protesters. One who hits an ICE agent with her car, and the other who showed up with a gun in his pocket acting aggressively towards ICE agents and had been at previous protests damaging law enforcement vehicles, and they both inserted themselves into an active law enforcement activity and got themselves killed. Now compare that to the hundreds of thousands of innocent victims of illegal alien crime: murder, vehicular manslaughter, rape, assault, identity theft, burglary. The list goes on and on and on. I could stand here for the next week and talk about the stories of the victims of illegal alien crime, when the other side would have maybe need an hour to talk about the two victims from inserting themselves into an active law enforcement activity. So the outrage is for the two protesters versus hundreds of thousands of victims, and these victims didn't insert themselves into situations that would endanger their lives. The illegal criminals made a decision to kill, rape, assault, and hurt innocent Americans. Where is the outrage? I am not willing to stand silent while our Attorney General here in Arizona tells the public to shoot ICE agents if they feel threatened. My son was a police sergeant who put his uniform on daily to protect our communities. I pray every day for the safety of the law enforcement in our nation. The messaging that needs to be loud and clear is: stay home and do not interfere with law enforcement proceedings. And my message today to Attorney General Chris Mays and every elected official here in Arizona and across our nation: you need to be on the right side of the law. It's time to stand up for the real victims of illegal alien crime. Enough of this gaslighting. This is America, and Americans' victims deserve better. They have ended up as collateral damage for their agendas, and we should all expect to be safe in our country without the fear of becoming a victim of illegal alien crime. Before I go, I also want to thank all the men and women of law enforcement, especially ICE and Border Patrol, and know that I support you 100%, and thank you for the job that you're doing every day.
That's right. That's right.
Here.
All right, next we're going to bring up Steve Ronnebeck. Steve, you're up.
Thank you for being here. You know, I kind of walked away from all this about 5 years ago. And Mary Ann called me the other day and said, would you like to join me? And I was like, absolutely. Grant was 21 years old. It was 11 years ago. He was working the overnight shift at QT at Stapley and Broadway. Man came in, dumped a jar of change out on the counter. Grant went to start counting the change, wasn't counting it fast enough. This man pulled a gun and shot my son point blank in the face. He then walked around the counter, stepped over my son, stopped, reached in his right-hand pocket where the gun was, and watched my son for about 30 seconds to make sure he didn't move. Because if he had moved, he would have shot him again. Chris Mays, I have 3 questions, and I'd like to press to ask her these 3 questions. Number 1, what in the heck were you thinking? Inciting violence against our law enforcement. It's ridiculous, it's stupid, and it's irresponsible. Second question, why aren't you in cuffs? Title 18 of the U.S. Code, sorry about that. Title 18, U.S. Code 373, solicitation to commit a crime of violence. Boy, she sure did, didn't she? Veiled threats. How can she get away with it? She's talking about prosecuting ICE agents? Who's going to prosecute her? She committed a crime. Why is she still in office? And the third question is, does she even know about the people that have been lost in this state to illegal immigrants? Does she know about the women who were raped in this state by illegal immigrants? Does she know what a rape tree is? Does she know any of this? I'd love to hear her, explain herself as to those issues. Law enforcement runs in my family, in my friends. FBI wears masks. Department of Homeland Security wears masks. 99% of the SWAT teams in our state wear masks. She's putting the agents, the illegal immigrants, the families in danger. To me, that is abhorrent, and it is just flat out wrong. Thank you.
We had one more special guest that was able to join us. We thought she was going to be stuck in traffic, but I want to bring up Karen Griffin, who is also in the same situation as our prior two speakers. She's dealt with this personally, and she's got a story to tell. Karen, come on up.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here on behalf of my son, Tyler Griffin. He's an Arizona son in that he graduated from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. Was an award-winning documentary storyteller. He was one of the first, if not the first, to actually embed himself with the Border Patrol, and he did a story that won a national award. He went out and embedded them, knew about drugs, knew about the porous border. I have two words, my magic words: cooperation and synergy. We need our separate, whether it's federal officers, state officers, county officers, city officers, all to work together. It took us 1,175 days to put my son's murderer away. His case is the precedent-setting case in Arizona Superior Court. Now, if you are proven, a neighbor gave him a pill. He'd been working 60-hour weeks. He was tired. He was in pain. He'd had an injury at work. Gave him a pill, told him it was a high-potency ibuprofen. He took it. He said it would help him sleep. He never woke up. He slept all right. He never woke up. What happened in Tyler's case was that the DEA, the Tucson Police Department, the county attorney all worked together to put this guy away. They took his phone, and now when there's proof that someone gives you a substance that they say is something it is not, you are put away until your sentencing phase in Arizona Superior Court. What happened here is totally different than what's happening in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. They are not cooperating. They are building a barrier for people to work together to put criminals away. Look what's happened in Memphis. They go to the prisons. They're given the prisoners right away. It's a peaceful transaction, and that's what we need to do. I support ICE. I support Tucson Police. I support Phoenix Police, Pima County Sheriff's Department. They all worked in harmony to not only find the guy that killed my son, but they also found cartel members that were working with him as he was going across the border. They found out later that he was a sex trafficker, a human trafficker, and a drug trafficker. We just all need to work together, and I don't care if they have to wear masks, cameras, whatever. We need to support them in all they do. There are far more many ICE and police officers out there that are good people doing their job every day to put people away, like the man who killed my son. Thank you.
The bottom line here is that there is a human cost to illegal immigration. You just heard from 3 people who have had that price. They've paid it themselves and their family. It's tragic. It's horrible. We have to support our federal law enforcement. We have to make sure that dangerous criminal illegal aliens are removed from within our borders and that they are sent back to their home countries. You know, America is a country of immigration. We're a country that for our entire history, we have been welcoming immigrants through legal processes with open arms. I mean, look at Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty, right? I mean, it stood as the beacon, as the gateway into this country for so many years. We are not a nation that hates immigrants. We are a nation that loves productive immigrants that come here for the right reasons to join this incredible gift to the world that is America. You know, our founding fathers, when they set this country up, they made us a beacon to the rest of the world. Our number one export has been liberty. Our number one export has been self-governance. Not in some neocon, nation-shaping, nation-building kind of way, but because we were the light on the hill. We were that shining city that Reagan talked about. We have to get back to that. We have to get back to a place of national pride where we are willing to enforce our own laws. And so I thank President Trump. I thank Attorney General Pam Bondi. I thank all of the professionals in ICE, all of the professionals at DHS, Tom Homan. They are doing an exceptional job. And Democrats need to stop ratcheting up the violent rhetoric. They need to stop ratcheting up the tensions so that we can get back to a place of law and order, and we can get back to a place where American citizens are put first and they are protected from dangerous illegal aliens. We'll take just a couple of questions.
I guess the question I want to ask is, do you guys support ICE agents being able to deport citizenship?
So ICE has, under federal statutes, they have a process for how they are able to carry out their duties. That's enshrined in both federal law and regulation, as well as in DHS policy. So I'm not going to second guess how DHS chooses to, follow federal law, right? That's, Secretary Noem is doing a great job. Tom Homan has a distinguished record at doing this, right? And to think that somehow Tom, who's leading this effort, somehow Tom has gone rogue is just an absurd notion. Tom Homan was given a Distinguished Service Award for his efforts deporting illegal aliens, not by President Trump, by President Obama. Okay, this is someone who knows how to do this job, who knows how to follow federal law, and I'm confident that ICE is doing so. Okay.
So I guess one of the concerns.
Would you do me a favor? State your name and which outlet you're with.
TJ Arizona Agenda.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
But I think one of the concerns hearing is with the focus on getting deportation numbers up, like hitting deportation quotas. There's been I think all this talk about the fentanyl and drug crisis is all good and well, but this concern about focusing on the number of illegal immigrants rather than focusing on the drug trade is like taking up the attention of the administration. Do you have any thoughts on that?
TJ, the media loves to focus on these kind of red herring or straw man arguments. The reality is that over the last 4 years, we had nearly 20 million illegal aliens invade this country, many of whom were dangerous criminals. Over the last two Democrat terms, that number is closer to 30 million. And the reality is that we have to get dangerous criminal illegal aliens off our streets. There are millions of dangerous criminal illegal aliens walking free in this country right now, thanks to Democrats like Joe Biden and Barack Obama, thanks to people like Chris Mays, Adrian Fontes, and Katie Hobbs, who are protecting them. We absolutely have to get those dangerous criminals off our streets. And so if President Trump is focused on making sure that we remove more criminals off of our streets, I think that's a win for all Americans. Reagan. Afterwards. Get me afterwards. Sure, follow up.
With all this massive, with HR 1, massive funding increase for ICE, I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about the Freedom Caucus's agenda on immigration, and if there's all this funding and ICE is doing, a great job
Well, the state plays an important role in terms of being a partner with the federal government, right? We've seen the chaos that ensues in places like California and Minnesota when states don't work hand in hand with federal law enforcement. In San Francisco, where they refuse to turn over dangerous criminal illegal aliens at the jails, at the county jails, they won't turn over those dangerous criminal illegal aliens even after local law enforcement has already arrested them for committing a crime. When you see that type of anarchy coming from Democrats, that puts everyone in jeopardy. Now, from a funding standpoint, you talked about H.R. 1. The reality is that, look, President Trump rightly defunded the Democrats' swell by 80,000 new IRS agents, right? And instead redirected that money to go towards ICE agents. I think the American people are much better served by getting dangerous criminals off of our streets rather than subjecting law-abiding citizens to endless audits.
Amen.
Yes.
Sure.
So both chambers of the legislature have effectively called for space reservation, but it doesn't appear that's coming. Are there any next steps?
Did you say it does appear that's coming? I was hoping you were breaking some news right now. Okay.
It does appear that's coming.
Okay.
What next steps?
Yeah, I believe that the corruption that we're seeing in Arizona has reached systemic and historic highs from our executive branch. Katie Hobbs, with her pay-to-play and her nepotism and all of her corruption scandals, I mean, consider $400,000 gets donated by a state vendor to Katie Hobbs and the Arizona Democratic Party, and magically they now qualify after having been denied multiple times for a rate increase. They now qualify for tens of millions in new tax dollars spent. Chris May's rampant corruption, rampant weaponization of the Attorney General's office like we've never seen before in Arizona. I believe that the House of Representatives should be actively pursuing impeachment on both Katie Hobbs and Chris Mays. Yeah, we'll do two more. You're telling me that you think that those 14% are insignificant? You take what's 14% of 20 million? It's a lot. Okay? It's a lot. You're talking about 3 million people. That's 3 million dangerous criminal illegal aliens, rapists, murderers, pedophiles, sex offenders, domestic abusers. That's the 14% you're talking about. Yeah, I think those 3 million people should get their asses kicked out of this country.
Amen.
Senator Jake Hoffman, thank you for being here today. We appreciate your service for the country and for the state. My question to you is a little bit, this is George from MAAP Talk Show. George and Emma. Sir, what happened in Minneapolis, it's like, sometimes it's like a movie, no offense to say that, because that's one personality, like Frey, the mayor, Wilkes, the governor, they have their own personality. But do you think you're going to have the same thing in the state of Arizona with Hobbs and the mayor of Phoenix as well, because that's the largest city? Do you think we have the same issue as they had over there? Because they're already operating in Arizona. And I followed them a couple times just to see, I haven't seen any incidents.
As I said, the corruption that we're seeing in the state of Arizona at the hands of Katie Hobbs, Chris Mays, and Adrian Fontes, they're historic. We have never seen levels of corruption this high in our state. It is tragic, it is sad, and I think that honestly, I think the people of Arizona are sick and tired of it. I truly hope that the Department of Justice opens an investigation into all three of them. I hope that the FBI subjects them to, they need to be searched, they need to have their documents searched, they need to have their offices searched. We need to know all of the details about the corruption, the pay-to-play schemes, protecting dangerous criminal illegal aliens. And look, when you look at some of the initiatives that Katie Hobbs has done, when you look at the swelling of welfare ranks that have happened even in times of prosperity since COVID, it certainly raises eyebrows that there's likely funny business going on. I know the House has multiple investigations occurring right now into levels of corruption that exist within this Democrat-controlled executive branch. So thank you all for being here. I do want to just apologize to the media for all the noise. No, seriously, this is something we're going to be talking with staff and seeing if we can't come up with a better process to get, some of that noise, tamped down for you guys in the future. So thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys.